Hello, Quakes fans, and welcome back to another episode of Tectonic Takes. Unfortunately, Ivan couldn't be here with us today, but I have a great cast with me today with Devon. Devon, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's had a long work day, but we're here.
And of course, for the second week, I think second week might be third. Third, it's great to have you here, Sad. Sad, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. I just got back from work, ready to talk Quakes. So long story short, we got our butts handed to us against Sporting Kansas City, and that was a game, in my opinion, that all the metrics showed that we should have won. Like before going into it, we had the better team. We're probably doing better than Kansas City, in my opinion. And then they lost their coach and their personnel issues. How did you guys see the game, Devin? What do you think?
I mean, the game it looked winnable. Like we had chances to compete early on. I think it's just that initial 10 minutes where the Sporting Kansas City scored three on us, if not even 5 minutes. That kind of just decayed our confidence, and ever since then we just kind of lost it. Our players kind of looked flat footed on the field after that. There was no real urgency or urge to score. We kind of looked discombobulated. If it weren't for that 5 minutes, I think we would have won by a good margin.
Yeah, I had a guest coming over, and by the time I went to go get her and we got back to the room, we were down 3-0. It was ridiculous, and that really set the tone for the rest of the match. What do you think, Says?
I think for anyone who didn't watch, the quickest way to summarize this game was the first third of the match, we were the 2024 San Jose Earthquakes. The next third of the match, we were the 2025 San Jose Earthquakes. And the final third of the match, we were the 2024 San Jose Earthquakes. Um, I think the obvious talking point everyone's going to want to talk about is uh, Earl Edwards in goal. I think we can speak about that more later, but I think the biggest asterisk for me is how it was highlighting how bad our defense actually is, and especially that game, and not having Daniel really expose that. I said it last week though. There's always games you're gonna have where you're either playing a team that's really bad or way better than you, and it's not gonna go the way it's supposed to go, and you get 1 to 3 of those a year. And I thought today was going to be a testing, or Saturday was going to be a testing tale. That is like, okay, is this one of the ones where it turns around and we get a loss, or are we gonna really get a good win here and then maybe we steal a win somewhere else? But it turned out it was a loss, so that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, and it was really unfortunate because like Devin said, I felt that for the first half, I think for the majority of it, I thought that we looked better. I thought that our team was, you know, doing well. I didn't think that there was anything like super bad, but then that just the lack of defensive. I don't know. I don't want to say quality because that diminishes the quality of the players that we have. But I think how big of a loss do you think Wilson is? I know that Daniel's probably the biggest loss, but I want to touch on Wilson because he's kind of an unsung hero. Overall, center backs usually are, but Wilson I think does dictate how the defense usually ends up playing. Saz, what do you think?
I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. Maybe you could say a singular goal. Um, I honestly think it was 90. Like again, let's take away the goalkeeper situation. I'd say just about every single goal except the one where went over the top to Rodriguez was a wing back being exposed or a like midfielder not watching a runner and watching the ball. Like it was, I couldn't believe some of the goals and how they were scored or how they were allowed. Like it was extremely frustrating.
Yeah, and I guess that does make sense when you consider that if a team's watching us on tape, then the first thing they're going to see is that Espinosa is like a huge part of our attack, and he's tasked with coming back on defense. But it's really hard for him to do both very efficiently. So if you want to expose the San Jose Earthquakes, you got to get behind the wingbacks, which is unfortunately not the toughest thing to do, and that's probably the main avenue to expose us. Devin, what are your thoughts?
I kind of think it's a mix of both. Daniel being used to communicating with, two of our top center backs, both being Brazilian, Bruno, or not necessarily Brazilian, but speaking Portuguese, Rodriguez and Bruno Wilson. not having both of those players for him to communicate efficiently and effectively to hinders that that team chemistry we have defensively, and it seemed like a lot of those guys are kind of as I mentioned earlier, like discombobulated, confused to their role, what they wanted to do. That through ball over the top over Rodriguez to concede one of the 5 goals was quite unfortunate because, as Sad said, like we don't want to contribute this to the this loss to the defense because of how solid they were. It's just it's more of a systematic issue that stemmed, I think, from the wing backs and our midfield. There was a lot of flat-footedness going on and less structure than we've normally seen in the past. So I think if we were to chalk it up to anything, not that there's one specific issue with the game on Saturday, it may come down to the midfield and wingbacks and kind of understanding their structure and how SKC kind of exposed us back there.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, something I alluded to earlier, is the goalkeeper situation. We're missing Daniel due to concussion protocol issues. He had an injury in the last match, and I mean that's a huge loss. And it showed, it started showing as soon as he went out. As soon as Earl Edwards, faced LA, there was issues, like where he made some mistakes passing out the back against LA, and in my personal opinion, I know Saz, we talked about this earlier, has other opinions, but I felt that for the first 2 goals, man, like he has to do better. He had a hand to it, and I felt like the ball was shot close enough to him to where, I'm sorry, that was a weird noise. If it's Daniel in goal, I think that he saves it, and that he's known to do that. So I think that's a huge impact on the first half where we are immediately it's 1 goal instead of 3, and that obviously changes the entire complexity of the game. But Saz, I wanted to give you a chance to defend Earl's honor, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first I will say there definitely was a feeling like I was laughing to myself at a certain point in the game where when Daniel's in goal, there is a feeling of like, hey, this might like be saved. This might do this. This might do that. Right? Like you feel pretty good about it till it's in. Every time there was a cross or a shot attempt, I thought it was going to be a goal for the other team. Like once Earl was in, and I will say also to go against his point, like as I was trying to defend him, if the ball was coming towards him, like, and he was just trying to pick it up on 4 different occasions, possibly 5, he bobbled it. Like he would try and pick it up, and then it lost control and bobbled, like no pressure whatsoever. Um, Here is the point, and I do agree with you. There are a lot, like if Daniel was there, I feel he would have made it. There were a couple he could have got a hand to it, could have dove a little better for sure. The only thing I am willing to give him is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe every single goal conceded was within like about 12 yards. Like 6 to 12 yards, maybe there was one, but all for sure within the 18.
Yeah,
Uh,
near in and around the box for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, which at a certain point, like, yeah, you want your goalkeeper to save that, but I don't know if you're really expecting your goalkeeper to save it. Some of the ones he had, we were expecting him to save, for sure, right? On the other hand, some of those, I would say, really, it's like once it gets that far to your defense, you just kind of hope your goalkeeper saves it. But then it goes back to the argument of, like, we don't feel like he would save it. Daniel might have actually got to 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, and that's comparing the two is very difficult because Daniel's a special keeper, and so Edwards wouldn't necessarily want to be compared to Daniel. But if you looked at the stats at some point, shout out Luis in the Discord, he pointed out that we faced 5 shots on target and we conceded 5 goals. So he had no saves up to that point, which is not where you want to be. Devon, you still with us?
I'm trying. I don't. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. I just want to
Okay,
make sure.
perfect.
Do you have anything to say on the goalkeeper situation?
I mean, you guys both said everything there needs to be really said. I think, looking forward to this weekend, I'm thankful that, to what I've heard, we have Daniel back. So I'm really excited to have him versus a team like Columbus. So it gives me confidence and a feeling like we got a chance to win away, or to at least get points away. So that said, everything you guys said already made plenty of sense.
Says we talked about this a little bit. I know that you're not a huge fan of Espinosa being used as a wing back because it does kind of expose the right side when he is not able to get back all the way. What would you do, Coach Saz? What would you do to fix this defense?
I think the honestly Costa was killing me more than Espinoza was, but Espinoza for sure got caught out on that a couple times. It's been the problem I've been saying for weeks now. I don't feel like we have to force everyone on at the same time. And for those people that might be rolling their eyes at that, look at England. I mean, like they have the same problem every couple generations. How do we get Scholes on? How do we get Lampard on? How do you get Gerrard on? You put one on the bench. You realistically managing the egos, all of that, whatever it may be. I would sit down and have like a talk with them. Like I would go through so much film because there's some things I don't understand how they're being allowed to happen from like just a simple soccer perspective. Um,
Like,
Ball watching, uh, just letting runners run free, and that happens, right? We all lose it here or there, but like consistency and how often it happens is absurd to me. Like just not like our defensive positioning and shape, like just like basic things. And again, they're playing at a higher level. Like I would get cooked at that level. Don't even get me wrong. Like my ACL is hurting just thinking of it, right? But they are professionals, and like I just expect it to be at a higher level, and you can see that with others. So, um, you also, I mean, you got a feel for Bruce, who, I mean, he lost quite a few pieces early on and hasn't quite had a full healthy squad and is kind of deal with it. But that would be mine. I don't even think it needs to necessarily be a formation change. I just think it's like you don't need everyone on at once.
that's definitely an interesting take. I do like that we are having everyone on. It is fun. It's very fun to see like Josef and Chicho and in the beginning Hernan and Espinosa. That's a very fun thing that not every team can say they have. But I do agree. If I was managing this team on career mode, I didn't have to deal with the personalities. Like if I didn't care what they had to say about it, I would probably take Saz's advice and drop one of them. Probably Joseph gets the short end of the stick. Devon, do you have any thoughts on that?
Isn't it great to finally not have depth issues? I mean, barring a couple positions, of course. I think we all have the similar feelings about Preston Judd starting over certain players, and their goalkeeper situation. Yes,
I was about to say the whole Daniel situation.
yeah, the whole goalkeeping situation, like barring a couple of positions here and there. It's nice to actually be able to, feel confidence in having a good depth and bench. Like, for example, Nico versus Bo. I'm okay with I'm perfectly okay with either over either. Especially with how the way Bo's been performing, even though he got signed like one day before our professional before our first home game against SKC. We weren't expecting Bo to play or even start, and yet here he is, like leading the midfield charge. And other players like Oseni Buddha, Ricketts, the list goes on. Like these are incredible impact sub players that our fans and even us feel confident in them coming on 60th minute and beyond. It's nice to finally be confident in our bench.
I definitely agree with that. And before we talk about the upcoming match against Columbus Crew, uh, you know, pretty much just announced as of recording, we got in Dewan Jones, a fullback from the Columbus Crew, who we're going to face in a few days. Um, Tess, have you gotten any word on how he is?
No, so for those that don't know, I'm in a little group chat with like a bunch of MLS podcast, and I'm talking to the let's see, Yeah, I mean they've seen my message, and I asked them about Jones, and then I had to specifically say Dewan Jones because they have another Jones on the team. And then I looked up the stats, and I think he's only played like 5 games or something. He has a baby face too. I thought he was like 19. He's 27. So as of right now, no, I have no info on him, but I will let you guys know if I get anything by the time we're done recording this.
So we have a Discord user who gave out his FBref stats. I don't know if you can if you have that on you, Abram, but it looks like he's great defensively and he can move the ball forward, and that's something that Bruce Arena specifically requires in his system. So having that as a wing back on the left side specifically, if I remember correctly, that's going to be crucial for any of our attacks and obviously defending for the rest of the season. Especially alluding to our Vitor Costa situation, how he didn't perform and isn't performing as well as expectations. So bringing in Dewan Jones almost, covers that problem, that current problem we have on the left side.
Yeah, I mean, Costa is a really weird quantity because he somehow does really good things sometimes, but is it worth the most of the time where he could be less than mediocre at times, and that's very frustrating. But he pops up with a goal randomly when he comes on, or he gets an assist. He has good actions in the offensive third, but it's very inconsistent. I wouldn't say that like you can expect that from Costa. He's kind like a quick step center likes to call him the agent of chaos because he does things good sometimes. He doesn't look good doing it, but he's a really mixed player. I know that Sad is not a huge fan on him. Talk about the Costa situation because there's a lot of competition now in the left wing back position.
Sorry, I just got a response. But I'll ask you a follow up question, so I'll do that later. But yeah, Costa for me. God, Jesus. It just
Be nice, be
yeah,
nice.
yeah. Like he's a lovely guy. I will say the few times I talked to him. Just caught out defensively. Slow reacts, doesn't anticipate. Um, Offensively, I think there is a genuine threat for all airport security when the planes are landing because anytime he shoots the ball, it's skying.
It
Uh,
almost hit the away section.
yes, it did. Yes, it did. Cross is about the same boat. Now, I will say, I got to give credit where credit is due. This season, he has been much better. I'm not saying good. There's been 2 or 3 games where I've been like, oh, okay, wow, that was actually a decent like 60 of 70 or 70 of 90. But overall, no, like it just kills me. Everything is slow. Everything is like behind the pace. Again, reactionary, not just like anticipating. Like there's always a holding to any movement. It's just not the quality we need. Like it. We're gonna keep this podcast short, so I won't go into too many details. But that's the short summary of it.
I want to give Saz an opportunity to go on about Dewan Jones, but I wanted to see if Devin has any follow up thoughts on Costa first.
Uh, you know what? I can say that last season, especially when like watching away games, our Discord pops off with a chat. I can say for certainty, a lot of our fans were somewhat. It was like a 50-50 last season. He had his moments, and then he didn't have his moments. And I feel like this season there's more negative moments than there are positive moments. Like when he's on the ball, it's almost like Earl Edwards in goal. Like you have a little more fear. You have more fear under your feet than you do with other starters. Like personally, I would prefer Ricketts or Dewan Jones now at left wing back, and it's something that we hadn't really talked about with Oscar Verhoeven being transferred to San Diego. We no longer have him as that option, and he was also supposed to technically in our system play as a midfielder than a wing back, unfortunately. But now that Verhoeven's gone, we bring on Dewan Jones, and there's another addition. But in that tier of left wing or of wing backs, anyways, I think Victor Costa might be third on that list.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I asked Bruce what he thought about Verhoeven, using him as a center mid the last time he played. And he was like, he's not a wingback, he's a midfielder, he's a six or an eight. I was like, okay, that's very interesting, because I didn't see that. I thought he was very solid fullback, in my opinion, very defensively sound and capable going forward. So I thought that was interesting. But Jamar Ricketts, is another he has another element of chaos to him where he is very good going forward, but kind of a liability in defense, just because of lack of experience or whatever you want to say. Besides, do you have any updates on Dewan?
I asked a couple of follow-up questions. I haven't got a response on those yet, but the initial thing they were saying is just fast, good at getting behind the back line, wing-back style player for Columbus. So kind of everything we kind of already knew. I asked how they are, how he is defensively and getting back on defense, and I said we kind of like crossing the ball and playing with our wingers, so how he is at that as well. So if I get a response on that, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, I know that he is right-footed, even though he is often deployed at left wing back. I saw his debut with the national team. I think Cade Cowell was getting looks around that same time in some friendlies, and they were kind of compared to each other in that they're both very physically gifted, very physical and very fast at the same time, which is always good to see for a fullback. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can bring. And also, I want to say that like if we were solid at the left wingback position, if we had an answer at the club already, the FO would not be looking into deals like this to bring in reinforcement in these positions. Um, and I want to segue from that into the midfield where I think we've been a little bit more solid. I think we can say that Harks and LaRue have been more of a bright side this season, but there is a concerning lack of depth because if you take out if LaRue gets injured, then you have Nico going in there, but and then we're having Hernan back, so I assume Hernan goes back into that position. Then you have K, uh, but then under that, there's not many players in that position now that we've loaned out Oscar Verhoeven. But we brought in Noel Buck. Noel Buck played with the English national team, the youth national team, I should say. He wasn't, competing with Jude Bellingham for the senior squad. But still, it's a very prestigious national team. He's played for New England in the past, so he's been one of the more highly touted young prospects in this league. Devon, what do you know about Noah Buck, and how do you feel about this potential signing?
I I'm conflicted because he might take over Bo's position, and I posted a stat in our Discord, link down below if you want to join. Um, Bo had the most successful, or yeah, he was tied for the most successful dribbles in week 9. So he is successful bringing the ball forward and maintaining possession or keeping possession for the team anyway. So bringing in Noel Buck adds depth. If not, swaps Bo LaRue and Bo LaRue becomes depth, which I'm still happy about. And I know a couple of other Quakes fans within our server are also thankful that we have more depth in our team, in our midfield specifically. However, he's a center/center right mid, and I think that would fit exactly what we're looking for and can connect well with both Christian Espinosa, Hernan Lopez, and even whoever plays on the right between Chicho and Josef. So I think bringing on Buck as a sub maybe this weekend or next weekend for Portland is crucial to getting any type of win and increasing our XG for any game to come.
Says?
I actually don't think it's LaRue that's getting moved to the bench. I think it's Harksey. I mean, we already saw Mark Anthony Kay take his spot for this match, and then especially if you're saying he's on that right side, Harks is the one usually playing on a little more on the right. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ian Harks personally. I think LaRue has been stunning. I thought last game was probably his worst he's played so far, at least the beginning portion of the game. Overall, the rest of the game is different. But um, I I think I like Mark Anthony Kaye, but I think he's just been a step slow. I think in everything, tackles, passes, getting back, like just a little of a bit of a step slow. We've talked about what Harks does and doesn't do in the past as well. Even though I'm a big fan of him, so maybe Harks comes on around the 60th, 70th minute. Maybe Noel comes on around the 60th, 70th minute. But I think it is good. I know we keep mentioning Nico. For me, Nico's not a center mid. Like they have him at attacking mid. I think that's what he does. He's a pass first, look for it on the rebound type guy. Um, Also, I just want to say, in case we don't get to another point, Nico Chakeris had, I think he needs to be in all set pieces from now on instead of Christian Espinoza. That one cross he had, I don't remember what minute it was probably the best set piece delivery we have had in well over 5 or 6 years. And then he had like 2 or 3 good ones after that as well. It might be tough when Hernan comes back, possibly next game. But that is how I'd imagine that going.
Sorry, Abram. There was a piece in there. I just don't know, and maybe someone can help us out with this, but I don't know if Noah Buck has that Ian Hark's defensive capacity. You know, if he doesn't have that, if he has that work rate that's worthy of replacement. I don't know anything about Noah Buck defensively, just that he's a midfielder. But, you know, if he does replace Ian Harks, what does that look like with our defensive shape, and how well can he cover when in terms of like hustling down the ball or any players nearby?
Yeah, there's definitely a concern of balance because that's crucial to any midfield configuration. Because Harks, I don't think he's the most graceful on the ball. I don't think that he makes those line breaking passes too often. But I think that he's crucial to how all the success the team's had so far. Every game that we played that was a worthy game of watching, he was one of the best players on the pitch. And you wouldn't notice him if you're not like, super crazy into soccer. But like he's like Saz said a few episodes ago, is his job is to be the least seen of the midfielders. He does all the dirty work, and he does a lot of dirty work. And I think that K does provide a little bit of that, where he is very defensively suited. He has really good standing tackles. He's also very big, so he's very capable in the air. Um, and I agree that LaRue has been really surprising in terms of breaking up the opposition's play with the amount of interceptions that he gets. But I wouldn't say that out of the two, Ian or LaRue, that he is the most defensively sound of the two of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how the coaching staff decides to line these two up, because or line up the midfield, because right now there's only two center mids, and so you have to have a balance of, like I said, a balance of grit and technique and poise and grace to be able to play out of the midfield. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. I don't know if we've gotten Buck officially. I don't think the Earthquakes have announced it, but what do you guys think the lineup's going to be going into this game against Columbus Crew? Devon, I'll let you go first.
Oh, geez, that's tough. That's really tough.
That's why I'm letting you go first.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer this.
Well, it's not official. We don't officially have Noah Buck publicly anyway. But the way that Bogert announced it on his Twitter makes me feel like it's just as official as DeJuan Jones. And
Believe Bogert. Believe Bogert.
Believe in Bogert. And Bogert typed both situations almost the exact same way. So I'm just gonna lead with the belief that we will have Noel Buck by Columbus. I just don't think we're gonna use him. I think he'll be a bench player at max. So we'll most likely see Buck versus Portland, and so how we'd roll out is basically the same thing, except we may see DeJuan Jones maybe around like the 60th or 70th minute, if that, because if anyone knows Columbus, it's DeJuan Jones. So why not use someone who knows how to expose the opposition like he can?
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think that Kay gets to start again over Harks, or do you think that was just a one-off? Give Harks a minute to get back into it.
I kind of think that was a one-off, but I want to know what Saz thinks.
Yeah,
Not to be too boring, I think nothing changes outside of injuries. Like if the injured players are back, I think they come back in. Um, like Daniel, obviously for Edward Jones. I think uh, Bruno for Mooney if he's back. Otherwise, I think that will all stay the same. I'd imagine. I mean, I'd like Harksey back. I don't imagine any of the new guys come in, and then if Ernan is back, I wonder if he gets back in. But I'm imagining it's going to be very very similar. Maybe one, maybe two changes.
I can kind of see Hernan being a substitute if he
Agreed.
returns. There's no way that they're going to throw him in for the first 60 or 70
First Columbus at Columbus would be kind of
after
crazy. Yeah.
after surgery. Yeah, exactly. Especially after a long flight, that could be tough on him. Um, Hernan, if anything, will be a late substitute.
I am talking about Hernan. I am incredibly excited to see him. He is such a good player that we just have been missing for a long time. It feels like a whole year, even though it's been like maybe 2 months. But this game against Columbus Crew is gonna be. I haven't actually seen anything about Columbus Crew this season, but with the pedigree that they carry, it seems like it's going to be a tough one, and it's also away from home. So, are we looking at another losing streak? Saz, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that's a question. Yes. Yeah, I don't think we got a snowball's chance in hell. This one I won't even be mad about. Like it's a legitimate team. Like as much as this pains me to say LAFC is a good team. Charlotte was a legit team. I think we're playing another legit team in Columbus. In Columbus isn't gonna help. Um, I don't even remember the last time we played them, so I can't even like compare anything. But they are a squad and a half. I don't know what their recent form is, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't great. Um, the question that keeps coming to my mind, and I've asked it a couple times with other teams, so I might as well ask this: if Max Arfstrand scores, does he celebrate? What do you guys think?
That's tough because he has a cool celebration. I remember when he played with Quick too. He had the arms crossed. Um, Imagine he does that again, just to just rub it in our face. Um, God, I don't think so. I just I think that he would understand the like kind of like a Boba why I said he wouldn't. I think he'd understand the occasion and wouldn't want to look like a dick, if for lack of a better word. Not that doing that makes you a dick, but I think that he might think so. So I don't know. What do you think, Devin? Does he celebrate?
Arson's definitely pumping his fist. I don't know if he's jumping in the air and doing everything else, but he's definitely going to pump his fist to the corner. Um, Anything besides that, I'm not sure. Although I did look up some stats for you regarding Columbus Crew themselves. They currently sit fourth in the Eastern Conference. They have 12 goals for and 7 goals against. Meanwhile, the San Jose Earthquakes they have 19 goals for. We still lead the league in goals scored so far this season by at least 1 or 2 goals, and we have 17 goals against. And I think both of those goals against they run up on EEJ, unfortunately. But it seems like Columbus Crew is defensively sound. If we need to score goals, if there's a team that's going to stop us from scoring goals, it might be them. I can only hope. I can only hope that our offense continues to shine.
17 goals is insane, by the way. That is for how many
Yeah.
games we played.
We're
Uh,
third. We're third. I think the only teams higher is SKC and DC United.
yeah, and yeah, that was. Oh my God, that is
Uh,
crazy. Yeah, I think he celebrates. I don't think it's anything huge. Um, if he does, obviously it depends on the moment as well. But it'll be definitely an interesting one.
Devin, can you repeat so I could know what the where Columbus is in the table?
Columbus sits fourth currently in the East.
Okay, so that's yeah, they're definitely having a solid season so far, and that's gonna be a tough one. But in Ivan fashion, he likes to ask this in every episode. if the Earthquakes will win if this happens. What do you your statement says?
Columbus take a obscene amount of anabolic steroids before the match and either fail a drug test or they have so much rage that they get enough red cards that the match is failed, and we get a forfeit. Um, it was Easter, so maybe if Jesus rises for us and looks gracefully upon us, we might get a tie. Other than that, I'm not really holding my breath.
It's hard to be optimistic, looking at this match because of the weight that Columbus Crew carries in their name and the players that they have. I can't say I disagree, but the Quakes somehow do well against better teams sometimes. It could be a similar situation against LA where where they overperform, they look really good. We might still lose, probably will still lose. I think it's our tectonic take is that we're gonna lose. Like we can't even be like,
Dude, if we get 2-1 versus them, I would be ecstatic. The only way I wouldn't be is if like it was absolute garbage and they just like had the worst game ever and just missed a million chances and then we got one in like the 92nd minute. But like other if it was like like the LA game like you said and it was like 2-1, it was kind of back and forth, could have gone both ways, I would be over the moon.
I agree. I think that if we can show them a good game, we can be competitive, and show that we're still here to fight, then that's all I can really ask for. Devin, what are your thoughts?
There's no beating around the bush at all. We're getting trounced. We're getting absolute trounced. And in terms of score predictions, a lot of fans kind of don't like it when I predict because then everything. I'm known as the cursed individual here,
Devin is
but
first.
we're we're definitely losing 4-1. I could see us losing it 4-1 or 4-2. With I can't even think about who's going to score except maybe Chicho and maybe Hernan late on a debut, but that's asking for a lot. I will also be at a concert, so I won't be able to attend or watch the game at home. So I will be relying on our Discord server and Quake's Twitter for all the necessary updates on the game.
I gotta tell you for you, Erdan could be playing that whole match. He ain't scoring. I'm letting you know that right now. Hernan ain't scored. He could, they could go into extra time. He not scoring that good.
Yeah, that much faith in their defense.
I just don't think he's a scorer.
Oh, it's just like a
There's a
where
little bit of both. I think
where
it's
it
a little
comes
bit of
out.
both.
Saz just doesn't think that Hernan's a good player.
I don't know about all that,
Yeah, that's
but
funny.
yeah.
Now we all know what Hernan can do, but it is going to be very difficult to break down this Columbus team. Um, I don't.
Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna counter Saz's hot
Go
take
ahead.
here.
Go ahead.
I think Hernan actually has a chance to score if any games in the future he were to play, because other teams are so focused on the current players who are actively playing week after week that they will adapt their system to those players, like Christian Espinoza, Chicho, Joseph, etc. They've established that those scouting regimes where Hernan can now kind of show a little more freedom or ability in that midfield that we saw last year, and that's kind of why I'm expecting him to make such an impact when he returns.
I definitely agree with that. I think future games for sure. I'm Saturday is going to be a long, long game.
And it's very unfortunate that we are looking at another game where we are potentially going to lose, and potentially by a big margin of goals after this SKC game, which I didn't feel we deserved to lose by as many goals as we did. But also the defense was kind of suspect. But it wouldn't be as suspect if we weren't chasing the game as hard as we were, and leaving ourselves a little bit vulnerable. As a result of trying to attack and get our goal back. But yeah, I think with that, that's gonna do it for today's episode of Tectonic Takes. Devin, you have any closing thoughts?
I just want to rise up the table. Just let us rise up the table.
I think that's what we all want, man. Seth, what do you think?
I'm really sad to see Oscar go. I think that kid's the real deal from what I've seen so far. I think he's got a lot of promise, a lot of talent. Sucks we couldn't even as much as I've complained about forcing to get everyone on. It really sucks we couldn't find a way to force it to get him on, even if it wasn't midfield. Give him a shot, but I guess you get a shot every day of practice. Kind of depends on the coach.
Apparently, it's his new home.
Yeah.
Yeah, on his story, he said new home in his announcement.
Damn.
Yeah, that hurt. It was like, okay, that's what you think. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it says
Like it's just a
loan.
loan, bro.
It's a loan.
I think yeah. I think the option to buy as well, but yeah, no, I get what he means. All I'm thinking to myself is if we end this season worse than LA Galaxy, there are
Is
not
that
words to
is that
describe the
possible?
pain.
I don't think we're there yet. I don't
We
think we have
have
to worry about that just yet.
we have more goals conceded than LA
Well,
Galaxy.
how many wins are we on? Are we on four?
I think
Four?
we're currently on 3 wins. They have 0, obviously.
Oh, they have 0. I thought they
Yeah.
got 1.
We have 7 more points than them. We're on 10. They have 3 with 3 draws.
I gotta be honest. Yeah, that 10 to 3 points. That's possible. That is we play them. They beat us, right? Like let's just say we played them next week. That's automatically 6 to 10. That's a lot closer. Like I would not put it past us.
Saz, do you think we'll be the first team to lose to LA Galaxy?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm
When do they
asking,
play
I'm
us?
asking.
Let's see. Well, hold on. Let's see. They play the Timbers. They play Sporting Kansas. That Sporting Kansas is a front runner here. Um,
There we go.
then they got the Red Bulls. Then they got Philadelphia. Oh my God, this is a rough schedule. Then they got LAFC. Then they got San Diego FC. Then they play us. Oh my God, we really honestly that I give it like 3 to 1 odds. There are some good chances that we could be the first to lose.
And we're playing them in LA too, so it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we have the home advantage.
Oh man. Oh God, that would be so heartbreaking. Oh my God.
There's some real chances here for historic moments.
Yeah, and you know what? By the time they play us, I believe like Paintsel and some other people are like coming back from injury. Like I believe the timeline for injury comeback is around the time they're playing us. So
I do think Paintsel will return. However, what's his face? Pooch will not be here until Stanford.
that's fine. He's overrated.
Yeah, he's overrated, but not against us. He seems to find a way to do it against us.
I'll cry if Marco Royce scores against us. I can't lie. I love Royce. I love Royce. I was so sad when he went there.
Speaking of crying, we are gonna face Sacramento in a few weeks here. What do we think about that game? I know it's early, but I just like quick thoughts because this is the third time in recent history we've faced Sacramento in the Open Cup, and every time we're like, oh, we should be able to beat Sacramento, and man, being there at the game was actually one of the most painful moments. I've been through breakups. I've had family members die. With that extra time goal, the 2 extra time goals, man, that was genuinely so tough. What do you guys think?
Abram, do you remember that meme image of me just staring into the screen
Yes,
that our buddies kind of search
put
around?
it up.
That's me.
Put it up here.
I will post it on the podcast right in front of my face.
Yeah.
In front of my face.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking right now as you discuss any matchup with Sacramento Republic. At least it's at home. At least it's at home. That's the only advantage we have. Who knows what's going to happen with Sacramento Republic because they have our number. I'm not looking forward to this.
That is nice that we don't have to drive like 2-3 hours home after losing in the Open Cup again. Saz, what are your thoughts?
I think for my well-being and mental health, I need to stop predicting these matches and thinking about the team. Like I think I can dedicate one day to it, right? I can dedicate the Saturday we play, and I can put a little more effort into the hour we record this podcast.
Saz is going to go home and use that new steering wheel.
You know what? I have it right on my feet right now. I've been playing with the pedals. Shout out Devon for that.
So for context, I bought a new steering wheel for my racing simulator, and I gave Saz my not necessarily old one, but the replacement. So
The good news is it does work. The bad news is my desk setup does not. Like it allows for one churn and then it unhinges. So I got to find a way to get it on there. But we can talk about that later. Yeah, I like to imagine. Okay, I'll give you my first thought. I like to imagine that, yeah, we have a better locker room this time around, a group that takes this seriously and views the game like this is important and wins. But the amount of times I have said things like that only to like lose previously, they gotta show me. I'm repping the team. I'm standing up for them every time, and I get pie in my face every time. They need to come and wipe it off my face. All right, at this point, they need to do that. All right, so I'm gonna just sit here like the little clown I am, talking and hyping up this team, and they just need to show it to me.
Bro's getting Steve Aoki at every single game.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think that it's difficult to make any predictions against for this game against Sacramento because anything can happen, and it's likely that we'll all get hurt for the third time in a row. When I saw that we were facing them and not El Farolito or Oakland Roots, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna happen again. But
Also,
go ahead.
if we see Hernan on the injury report still, I think all of our hearts will continue to drop again. After as much as we've talked
I
about
got
him,
I gotta be honest. Nico's been playing great, so like I want to like take your time and like heal as far as I'm concerned. And like Benji, he's back, but he wasn't even in the 18, so like we'll see.
Yeah, Nico has
Yeah,
been very good, but Hernan is a different gravy when he's fit, when he's playing well. But also, you want to see Nico do well, and he has been doing well. I just wish that goal went in off the crossbar. He keeps hitting that damn crossbar.
we didn't even talk about Benji as depth for left wing back because that's what he played when he played for Reno, and he played it well. And he also played it well under, I think, under Luchi Gonzalez. He had that individual performance, his individual success. We haven't even discussed that. Now that he's returned, um, any inkling of him touching the field as a left wing back?
I
It's a
don't think that's the
consideration too.
I don't think it's the answer to the I don't think it's the band-aid that stops the leaking as
Yeah.
far as defend the 17 goals we've conceded. But yeah, I would like to see Benji back. I mean, you have the argument with Paul Marie as well, right? Whatever it may be.
Yeah, he's not prime Ashley Cole, but I do want to see him back in the team. Whatever degree, I think that Judd has shown a specific skill set that I don't think is working for the team right now. I think Benji is a little bit more dynamic on the ball and off the ball, probably faster. Judd isn't slow, but I think Benji provides more pace in behind. Um, I was also gonna say that Ian, when he was here, he said that he was surprised that Benji was able to do any work defensively because when he had him at Reno, he was not a defensive player, and he thought he could only play as a striker, which was interesting because that's not really the Benji that we have come to know as a two-way almost player.
I think like 5, 6, however many seasons he's been in here of getting like a couple games and then finally being like I deserve to start and a new coach comes along and you have to restart that process. I think he's at the point. Hey, I honestly I think he's about one Earl Edwards game away from putting on the gloves if that's what gets him on the field. Like, I think he just wants to play and he's like whatever gets me on the field at this point.
I love
I
how
can only imagine what Nico's thinking too.
Oh yeah, no, you can be assured he's not super happy because he got some minutes and he's been playing well, but with Hernan coming back, it's going to be hard for him to keep a spot. And when Hernan was healthy, he wasn't seeing the field very much at all. So it
Like
is.
I made this take with Abram earlier today, and I said, despite the sheer amount of success he's had for the U.S. youth national team, Bo gets signed the day before our home opener, and then he's already starting over Nico, and Nico's been here for however many years, and to just have him be replaced like that consistently, especially with Hernan coming back, that's got to be a real heartbreaker for Nico. I can only imagine what he's thinking about.
It's soccer at that point. Like Bruce Arena isn't anyone that's gonna hold your hand. He's going to play the team that he thinks is going to get the best result, and it really sucks because Nico it's just kind of the story of a young player where you have promise, you have talent, but it's hard to usurp a big name, a DP, especially one with the pedigree of Maradona's nephew or grandnephew, whatever. It is always going to be difficult because they play the same position. A young 10 it's difficult in this league, especially when we're getting DP10s. Pretty much every team you see has a DP10, or that's what they're aiming for at least. Um, yeah. For the second round of closing shots, guys.
I know the Pope just passed today, but we could really use some sort of blessing for Saturday. I think that I think that is what we need. That's my closing thought.
Yeah.
We're so low.
That's a crazy reference. Yeah. R.I.P. Pope Francis is not what I thought I'd be saying today on the podcast. But I think on that note, Devin, come back. On that note,
I'm here.
is where we're gonna end today's episode. Thank you, Saz. Thank you, Devin, so much for joining me today on the Tectonic podcast. We will see you guys next week with some more analysis after this Columbus game. Go Quakes.
Rest in peace, Pope.